Okay, folks, here we go. A couple of examples of rearranging equations into general form. So I'm gonna talk a little bit about general form to begin with. Then I'm gonna do an example that converts point slope form to general form, and then an example doing slope intercept form to general form. So a couple of key things that you have to remember about general form before you even get started. The form is ax plus by plus c is equal to 0, or you could have that rewritten the other way around with the 0 up in front. It really doesn't matter either of those forms. What does matter is that when you do have your final product of ax plus by plus c, whether it's equals 0 or 0 equals, that this value of a, two things. One, has to be positive. Always, always, always. So if it's not positive, then there's something that we need to do in order to convert it to positive. It's basically just multiplying everything by a -1. Okay. The second thing is that there cannot be any fractions. No fractions in the entire equation. Okay. No fractions. So in order to get rid of the fractions, you just multiply everything by that common denominator. Okay, so hopefully through these examples, you'll see what I mean. Let's get started. So to convert from point slope form to general form, okay, the first step is to multiply the entire equation by whatever this denominator is, if you have a fraction. If you don't have a fraction, then you can just jump into step 2, which I'll point out as we go along. But if I multiply everything by this common denominator, then that denominator will disappear. So I'm going to multiply the whole thing by 3. And then when I do that multiplication, I'm going to go 3 times y. And I'm going to go 3 times 2. That's going to give me 3y plus 6 on the left-hand side of the equal sign. Now, the tricky thing to remember when multiplying the right-hand side of the equal sign is that there's a multiplication sign right here. This is 2 over 3 times x minus 4. So when I multiply by this 3, I only have to multiply this fraction by that 3, because this is all one term. So when I multiply this 3 to this 2, that's going to give me, change the colors, that's going to give me 6 over 3 and still x minus 4. And then what should happen is that this fraction should reduce, and it should reduce such that there's just a whole number. 3y plus 6, 6 over 3 reduces to 2, and then we have x minus 4. Our next step is we can't have that bracket, so we need to use our distributive property. We multiply this 2 into this bracket, gives us 3y plus 6 equals 2x minus 8. So 2 times x is 2x, 2 times minus 4 is minus 8. Now at this point, we have no fractions, so now we just need to have everything on the same side of the equal sign. So we just need to move things, and we need to decide what we're going to move. And we decide that by looking at that x. Okay? So this is a plus 2x, and we know that in general form, that this term has to be positive. Okay? So if this term has to be positive, and this x term is already positive, then I don't want to move that. I want to move these things to this side of the equal sign, because then that's going to leave my 2x as a positive value. So to do that, oops, don't erase the 6. To do that, I need to subtract 6 from this side. Because I subtract 6 from this side, I need to subtract the 6 from the other side of the equal sign. So I go minus 6 over here as well. These will cancel. And I'm left with 3y is equal to 2x minus 8 minus another 6 is minus 14. I realized I should have done that in red, sorry. But now I'm going to subtract 3y, and I'm going to subtract 3y. Now remember, this is an x, it cannot combine with a y. This is a constant, it also cannot combine with a y. So now I'm going to end up with 3 terms on the opposite side. On the left-hand side, 3y minus 3y, those are going to cancel. That's what gives me my 0. I got 2x minus 3y minus 14. And there would be your finished final product. Okay, so remember, because this x value was already positive, I'm leaving it on that side of the equal sign and moving the other stuff. Okay? I'll hopefully come across an example in which you will move it and or just eliminate the negative by multiplying by or dividing by a -1. Okay? So I will, there's that entire question. If you wanted to screenshot that or take a picture so you have it. Now let's move on to slope-intercept form, the general form. Now you have to understand and realize that these are different processes. So the steps to do these questions are they look similar, but they are different. Not necessarily the steps, but the outcome when you multiply to get rid of a fraction. So when converting from slope-intercept form to general form, again, because we have a fraction, what I didn't point out in my other question. Here, let me back up real quick. So this question, point slope form to general form, our first step was to get rid of the fraction, get rid of the denominator by multiplying by the denominator. If you don't have a fraction, then this is where you're going to start. Okay? This is your starting point. Multiplying this 2 into this bracket. Okay? If you don't have a fraction, that's where you start. Okay? Now back to slope-intercept form, to general form. So again, similarly, the first step is we need to get rid of that fraction. So we see that the denominator is a 3. I'm going to multiply the entire equation by 3. And what that's going to do is that's going to allow me to reduce my fraction to a number, to a whole number. Okay, so when I multiply this, I'm going to go 3 times y. I'm going to go 3 times -2/3, and I'm going to go 3 times -7. 3 times y is 3y. 3 times -2/3. And if you don't know that process, here, I'll do it for you right here. -2/3 times 3. This is 3/1. And when we multiply by fractions, or we multiply fractions, it's straight across the top, straight across the bottom. So -6/3. So this over here becomes -6/3, x minus 3 times 7, 21. And then, of course, you'll notice that -6/3 reduces to -2. 3y equals -2x minus 21. So now we're at the point where we need to make a decision on what we're going to move to what side of the equal sign to determine our final output, our final answer. So in general form, remember that the x term has to be positive. So I can see right now that this is negative. So I want to move this to the other side. What it does is it changes the sign of the 2, then -2 to +2. Okay? Or we could leave it there and move the y this way, but then we do the multiplication or division by -1. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to show you both. Okay? So I'm going to split this page right down the middle. This, and I'll do both for you. Okay. So on this side, 3y is equal to -2x minus 21. If I want to move this -2x to the other side because I need it to be positive, I'm going to add 2x to both sides. So then I end up with 3y plus 2x is equal to -2x plus 2x, those will cancel, -21. And then I'm going to add 21 to both sides. So now I have 3y plus 2x plus 21. And then this minus 21 plus 21 will cancel. That gives me my 0. And then I put that in the proper order. Oops, not 3. 2x has to come first, plus 3y, plus 21 equals 0. There's your final product. Now, if you choose to do this question a different way, 3y minus 2 equals negative 2x minus 21. I see that I only have to move one thing to the left, to the right-hand side if I start with moving the 3y. But then I have another step at the end. So if I want to do that, I'm going to subtract 3y from this side, subtract 3y. These will cancel. I would be left with 0 on the left-hand side. And then I would have minus 2x, minus 3y, minus 21. Now remember, this, oops, wrong color. This term cannot be negative. So in order to get rid of that negative, I multiply everything by a negative 1. Or you could divide by a negative 1. It really doesn't matter. Okay? So 0 divided by negative 1 is going to give me 0. Negative 2x divided by times negative 1 would give me positive 2x. Minus 3y times negative 1 would be positive 3y. And minus 21 times negative 1 would be plus 21. So essentially, you can just simply change all of the signs. But that only works when it's equal to 0. So if it's not equal to 0, you cannot do that step yet. And then you can see that we end up at exactly the same place. Okay. And then there's that entire question there if you want to screenshot it so you had it. If you have any questions, please get a hold of me. If you have any questions, please get a hold of me. You have my contact information. If you don't, oops, here's my email address. And then, of course, Snapchat. Okay. Stay tuned for the second video. Second video is going to cover the other 3 conversions, all to slope-intercept form, general form, point slope form, standard form to slope-intercept form.